You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of It Takes Grit. I have got you a very special treat to end our 2020 super strong. Welcome, Luke Wren, to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Excellent. How are you, Rebecca? It's so great to be on. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm so excited. So you guys know that I went to Jesse Itzler's camp in Atlanta. Amazing event that we did, and we got to mingle and meet new people. And one of my people that I got to meet was Luke, and we just hit it off. Could have asked this guy questions all night. He's married to a Brit as well, so we connected on that. And I was just fascinated by your story, Luke. And I was like, I need my audience to hear this. Like, as we were talking, I was asking you questions. I was like, oh my goodness, can I record this? I was like, can I get my phone out, record? Let's just have you on the podcast. So number one, greatness coach for high achievers who want to break through their barriers, create greater impact, profits, and purpose. Perfect to end 2020. How do you feel about 2020?
I feel amazing about 2020. I never believe it's what happens or the year. It's what did we make of the year? What do we make of the situation? What is the meaning that we attach to it? Did we allow ourselves to blame it or complain about it instead of just going, hey, the one thing that's constant in this world and it will never change is change. And either we can adapt and adjust, or another word would be pivot consistently with what comes at us. But blaming and complaining about it won't help it. And I've seen so many people in 2020, they were in the game and they went and sat on the bench. And as you and I were talking about at BYLR, Rebecca, is you can't win a game from the bench. You know, in sports and business and in life, you got to get in the game. And I don't care what type of challenges we faced in 2020. Guess what? 2021 will have some challenges. 2022 will have some challenges. I know we were talking about Jim Rohn and the late, great Jim Rohn, right? One of the fathers of personal development, self-growth, always said, life will be filled with challenges, filled with opportunities. Challenges, followed by more opportunities. And that will never change. Sometimes there'll be big challenges, sometimes they'll be small. But why celebrate the big challenges? Because the bigger the challenge, the bigger the opportunity. And now is the time that we all need to step up as leaders and really go serve and help those that maybe haven't been exposed or have the tools and strategies we all have. So that's my call to everybody out there is I hope you really pay attention today. You've got an incredible leader if you're listening to this podcast, and Rebecca, and into how really step up and continually take action regardless of what's going on, because that's the example the world needs right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. You have no idea. My audience are going to be giddy right now because two things that you said. One thing is do not sit on the bench. I think every single live I have done this week, I have talked about show up for this workout. Don't sit on the bench. Get in the game, because you can only score if you're playing. You can only score a goal if you're actually on the field. And number two, you touched on Jim Rohn, which all of my audience know because I quote left, right, and center from Jim Rohn. So today, guys, we're going to go through a little bit of Luke's story. You're going to love it. You're going to be fascinated. You're going to learn how to show up from this story. We're going to talk a little bit about 2020, obviously. We're going to help you break through some of the biggest barriers that you're kind of facing right now, finding your purpose, and then how to set yourself up for 2021. And Luke, this is very special. I don't know if you know this, but you are our guest on our 100th episode of It Takes Grit. I hope you feel very special.
Oh, I feel honored. I'm blessed and honored to be with you, and especially that you chose me for your 100th episode and to wrap up this incredible year.
Absolutely. And I just thought you're the perfect person, just such a guru in the personal development world. So first of all, let's go back and talk about your story. Like, how did you start and how are you where you are right now? Because it's amazing. And just, talk us through who you are.
Yeah. I love that, when we spoke, you go, I just want you to share your story. And I hope as I share my story, everybody that's listening to this or listening to the replay of this, or somebody might have shared this with you, is that you relate to your story as I share mine, and that you realize there's nothing powerful about my story other than it's mine. And we all have a story. Our most powerful thing is to celebrate our journey, which is our story. We're the directors of our own movies called our lives. And so as I share mine, I'll try and compress it and share the moments. But I think a lot of times people hear me speak, whether it be on a stage anywhere in the world, and they go, yeah, but you have this and you can speak so well and you have that. And like, I'm not there yet. I don't have that. And I'm going, do you know the way I grew up? I grew up in a little town called Howard Lake, Minnesota. When I was there, I was born in 1978. Yes, I'm 42 years old. And I always say 42 years young, because 42, I remember when I was 20, I thought 40 was old. Now I'm 40, I'm going, wow, when you're 112, you're old, right? And so I grew up in a small town. It was about 300 people west of Minneapolis in Minnesota, north central United States, the Midwest. And when I grew up there, I was dreaming like, wow, just have a good job when you get older, right? I mean, I grew up, to give you an idea, if you think, well, you don't know where I'm at, Luke. I didn't grow up rich in money, but I was very blessed to grow up rich in love. I had incredible parents. My parents both still alive today, and other than God, they're my greatest mentors, right? I mean, they showed me so much that we grew up rich in love. I mean, I remember the house I grew up in, we had one of the rooms in the basement had a dirt floor, people. We had train tracks in the backyard, but I had a beautiful life. And see, I started from such a foundational base, but I learned love is the number one power out there. But my parents told me, Luke, you can do anything you want. It's very blessed that somebody told me early on, you can do anything you want. Everybody puts on their shorts the same way. Everybody has to tie their shoes the same way. That we all have something special, and you can go do and create or be whatever you want to be. And I want to say that again. You can go create, do, or be whatever you want to be. It's just you need to decide to do it, celebrate the journey, and know, here's the tough part. It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. And from very young on, I started there, and where my passion for health and helping people really started was I watched my grandfather, the first 7 years of my life, Charles Leffler, struggle with cancer and pass away when I was 7. And I remember him squeezing my hand, and I can still feel it today. It's like he lives inside of me every day. And he just squeezed my hand and he said, Lucas, you don't have anything if you don't have your health. And I can still feel it like it was yesterday. And I was on the final week before he passed away. And I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up. But that day, I went and bought a Jack LaLanne book. Those of you that might date me a little bit, the father of modern day fitness, Jack LaLanne, he had a chair workout book. And gyms weren't as big of a deal back then. And I had a cassette tape, right? And a Sony Walkman, this thing that you carried around this big, that thick. You had to put your tape in it. You can only listen to 4 to 6 songs. Then you had to flip your tape over. Or if you had a really advanced Walkman, it would auto run the other way, right? Eventually, if you didn't clean it enough, it would eat your tapes. We didn't have little buttons you just hit on your phone and play any song in the universe. And I started working all that day, and I was like, I don't want to see anybody suffer the way my grandfather suffered. And I just started coaching and helping people at the age of 7. I was telling everybody, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And my grandfather was a very spiritual guy. So I'm like, seriously? He's like, yeah. And if you really think about it, a person with their health has 1,000 dreams. A person without it has 1 to get it back. Because my belief is energy is the ultimate commodity. When you really think about it, how I ended up connecting with you, Rebecca, is it was energy, right? It was people wanting to help people. We felt that we both love adding value to people. We connected. It was like that accent. I said, that sounds like my wife's. And we connected that you were from England as well. And then we stayed connected through energy. And so from that early age, I wanted to help people. But really, I love the word grit that you use, because if I look, people go, well, Luke, what got you to where you were? And I was so blessed that I had parents that loved me enough to make it hard for me. to make it challenging for me, to not do everything for me. At the age of 7, I remember I was in the principal's office so much when I was 7 years old that it was Kurt Levang was the principal. I still remember his name to this day. And he said, well, you're in my office all the time. Do you know how to mow a lawn? And I said, I'm sure I can figure it out. And I figured I might as well cut the principal's lawn because I know him so well from being in his office. And I remember mowing his lawn the very first time, and I mowed it twice. I would mow it one way diagonally and then the other way to get it cross-cut so it looked really, really nice, right? Because my dad always said, a job worth doing is a job worth doing really well, or don't do it. Don't do anything that you're not willing to do your best at. And started cutting lawns. So I wanted to be the best person. I want to make that lawn look like it was Wrigley Field, right? And so then I mowed lawns. I started baling hay, roguing, rock picking, detasseling, washing dishes, cooking pizzas, and painting were a lot of my first jobs. But one thing that every person I ever worked for will tell you is that guy worked harder than anybody. And here's the other thing they'll tell you. He had more fun than anybody. See, because a lot of times we get stuck in our head and go, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, instead of I get to do this, I get to do that. And here's the thing. Everybody out there has something you do for a living, whether you call it a job, a work, a career, a mission, a calling, a purpose. And what you call it does matter, because language does matter. You're going to have more juice if you believe you're on a mission, or you have a purpose, or you have a calling versus a job. Job, if you describe it as a job, it doesn't mean having a job is wrong. But if you describe it as a job, you'd be just over broke, because there's no juice in that. There's no higher energy in that. There's no higher calling or purpose in that. So it's what you say, what you do, and how you say it matters. And so I just love to work hard, do a great job. And as I had all those different jobs, I mean, when I was washing dishes at 13 at Red's Pizza, right? The cooks would be like, you're always so happy. Why are you so happy? Like, you know, and they would try and burn the dishes. I remember on Thursday night, it was Mexican food, and they would burn they would leave the pans, they would empty them out, leave them on the heater, so they'd burn everything to them, and they go, oh, have fun with this. I'm like, that's the best you guys can do. I just soak them in this sink. It gets soft again, scrub it off, throw it in the dishwasher. I said, when are you guys going to give me some dishes over here? Right? And it made it fun and competitive and playful as I was working hard, but I took pride in the dishes were clean when they came out the other side, and I wanted to be the best dishwasher. Is because if we're going to do something, why not aspire to be the best we can be? Not better than somebody else, but do our best. Write that down. If you don't have a pen and paper, write that down. Commit to doing your best at whatever you do. And then cooking, and then I was like, oh gosh, if I could just be a cook, that'd be better than washing dishes. But working in a restaurant was not good when I was a wrestler and I was having to cut weight, not be able to eat for a few days. And I'm here cooking and smelling food, right? But after that, I was like, okay, I need to find something else. I started painting because I'm like, smelling food while you're wrestling and cutting weight was not fun. And even when I started painting, same thing. I outworked everyone. I got put in charge of people twice my age because I outworked people. We got to have the grit. You know, I always say there's 3 things to look for in people. A burning desire to succeed. For as long as I can remember, whatever I was going to do, I was going to do it well and I would not quit. And I was going to do it well and I wouldn't quit. And you have that burning desire. Look for that in people. Find that in yourself. We all have it. You just got to discover it. Burning desire to succeed. A willingness to do the work. Nothing's that simple. Anything worthwhile is going to require hard work. Anybody that tells you different, they're full of it. You need to be able to address that if you want more out of life, if you want to be the greatest version of yourself, you got to do the work. It's going to require some grit, some work, some effort along the way. And the greater the goal, the greater the effort, the greater the work, but the greater the meaning when you achieve it. And then you got to be coachable. The great thing about anybody listening to this, you're already seeking it. You're already looking for, how can I discover, develop, and step into more of my greatness, right? You're listening to this going, where's that next little thing that can keep me motivated, that can give me that insight that I need right now? And that never stops, right? The greatest athletes in the world seek more coaching, not less. The most successful people in the world that you look up to in any category seek more coaching, not less. So we've got to find that burning desire inside of us. We got to be willing to do the work, and we got to be coachable. And then at 19, I was just getting started. I was blessed to be able to go on to college and play football and wrestle. And wrestling was primarily what paid for my college. But then from as young as I can remember, I think it was 13 where I started telling people, I'm going to have my own health club chain. Because I wanted, since my grandfather, I'd been obsessed with I'm going to help everybody be healthy. Why would people want to get cancer? Why would they not want to take care of themselves? So I obsessed from age 7. I never lost that obsession. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people out there nowadays are doing a side hustle. And if you're not, I would tell you it's very intelligent to get one because multiple incomes, let's talk about Jim Rohn for another second. Multiple incomes are better than one. 1% of 100 incomes is better than 100% of one, right? If you look at the most successful people in the world financially, they have multiple income streams. And in today's world, there's so many opportunities to create a side hustle that can grow, that your daily deal pays the bills, and your second deal, your side hustle, builds your fortune, builds your future, allows you to live better and do better and create a future much brighter, right? And in today's world, it's never been easier to do. There's so many opportunities out there for it. And so as I was doing all those jobs that I just explained to 19, on the side, I was still trying to help coach and encourage everybody to be healthy along the way. See, I started coaching people when I was 7. People go, well, what were your certifications? I cared about people and I loved them. Write that down. You want to be successful, care about others, and love everybody. You don't need to understand everybody. You don't need to agree with everybody, but everybody deserves love. And you go, but Luke, what about the people that treat you poorly? Or what about the people that don't deserve your time? Still send them love, because there's only 2 responses in the world. There's a cry for help and a loving response. So if somebody is not nice to you, if somebody does not respond well to you, it's more of a cry for help than anything else. When people are doing well, they don't treat others poorly. And when people are doing poorly, they can act out of character, because everything's either a loving response or a cry for help. So remember that when somebody right now, with everything that's going on, if they act out of character, send them love. Don't rebuttal it. Don't buy into it. I mean, if you argue with an idiot, then you get 2 idiots. If you just send them love, you got 1 idiot and another person sending love, right? So right now, that's what the world needs. Fear divides, love brings together. And just care about people. Care about yourself and love yourself and take care of yourself so you can care for others and take care of others and love others. Now, it doesn't mean you go do everything for them, but you can care for them. When you're with somebody, you can act in their best interest, do the right thing for the right reason. You know, when Rebecca and I were talking about my story, that I'm just getting into that part of it now, she goes, how did that all fall together? I said, I don't know. I showed up as me and I did the right thing for the right reason. And I did, and here's the thing, I didn't expect anything. See, one of my greatest mentors, Tony Robbins, told me, he said, Luke, if people would just trade in their expectations for appreciation, their quality of life would 10x. The quality of their life would easily double, with nothing in their life changing other than us trading our expectations in for appreciation. You know, what have you forgot? Write this down right now. What have I forgot to appreciate lately? Is it the roof over my head? Is it the sun on my face? Is it my beautiful family? Is it my incredible friends? Is it the opportunities that have been cast upon me in life? Is it having a great relationship with my Creator and God? Is it having the certainty to know that, you know what, I'll have food on the table today? When 2/3 of the world lives on $2 a day, what's your problem? See, the problem in around the world right now is we've had it so good for so long that people forgot what it was like if things got tough. People haven't had perspective. The majority of U.S. citizens have not left the country, so they don't have a perspective that 2/3 of the world lives on $2 a day. Next time you have a tough day, remember that. Say that, because wouldn't it give you power to go, oh, well, although I think my day is bad, what's my real problem if somebody's living on $2 a day today? that although I think today is bad and I might be getting hard on myself, I might be beating myself up where I should be building myself up, that, you know what? My today that I feel is bad is somebody else's dream. What we feel is our worst nightmare is somebody else's dream somewhere in the world. See, that puts it in perspective. And you go, but Luke, that sounds so simple. Tell us what to do in our business and our lives right now. But I'm telling you, it's laying your foundation. See, we're going into a winter season. What we've seen this year is fall. I hate to break it to you. You're like, yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Way to bring on the positive guy. But you're delusional if you don't think you're going to shut down the world and not have ramifications. So we know we're going to have a reset, a setback. Everything goes in cycles, right? Jim Rohn always said it, right? You have spring, then you have summer, then you have fall. Now we're moving into winter. But hang on, don't get too doom and gloom, because guess what will come after winter? Spring again, and then summer. But we've got to go through winter now. And you go, but Luke, I don't like that. And it's like Jim Rohn says, well, then you just got to find another planet to live on. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. And see, the more that we acknowledge that, we can get prepared for it. We can deal with it better instead of talking how it shouldn't be. It's just the way it is. Don't waste the energy on why is it that way. Don't sign up for that class. That's a waste of your time and energy. See, but if we acknowledge that, hey, we had summer, we had a 12-year summer economically since 2008. And we were 2 years past what the typical cycle is. So now it was time, regardless whether it was COVID, it would have been something else, to move us into fall and winter. And see, our foundation serves us the most in winter. Anybody can do well in summer. Sun's on my face, the ocean waves are crashing, got sand on my feet, doing Rebecca's 7 a.m. workout. Life is good. But guess what? Even in winter, Rebecca will still do a 7 a.m. workout for you guys. But things may get a little bit more challenging. And see, if you acknowledge that, get ready for that, and prepare your psychology for that, you'll get through. Because here's the thing. The only way winter destroys you is if you quit. See, we've got to develop the mindset that we know who we are. I call it my foundational four. Get clear on who you are, what you're about, what your vision is, and why it's important to you. And you build that foundation deep and wide. The businesses that stand the test of time have a solid foundation. They have a culture, they have values, and they keep growing it deeper and wider. And as individuals, if we want to do great things in life, we got to go deep and wide. So as we build ourselves up, we don't tip over. As we build ourselves up, the foundation doesn't give out. A lot of times people try to go too quickly and they wonder why they fell back, because they tried to build the third story of the building before they built the foundation. You can't skip the process in building yourself a building or a skyscraper without the skyscraper, the tallest one in the world, has a deeper foundation. They dug down before they could build up. And see, we got to build down. We got to grow our roots. We got to build a solid foundation. So as we soar, as we grow, we don't tip over, we don't fall apart, because we understand that the foundation and the fundamentals stay the same no matter what. Concepts are constant, techniques can vary. So get clear in this time so that the media doesn't skew you. Your friend doesn't skew you. Some random person doesn't skew you because they don't believe in what you believe in. They don't see what you see. They're not doing what you're doing because you know clearly, because you do the work every day on what are the words you put behind I am. Who are you? What are you about? Can you go on a rant on what you're about? Can you keep your vision so close that you can describe it not in 2020 vision, not in 3D, but in virtual reality? You know where you're going because you see it every day. You take the time to close your eyes and visualize what you're creating in life, not taking some leftovers of what somebody else wants you to have. You create your life. If you want that, you got to visualize. The good book says it. The greatest book in the world. Without vision, people perish. People message me every day on social media and they go, but Luke, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep that energy? You keep your vision close. And if you get farther than that away, things can get in the way. You get that far away, somebody else can throw their vision in front of yours. Somebody else can put a distraction in front of you. Somebody else can go, oh, look over here. And before you know it, the vision gets out here. And now all of a sudden, every excuse in the world sounds better than the work you know you need to do. Well, Luke, how do you fix that? Well, you bring the vision back here. How do you do that? You never let the vision leave the nose. I wish I didn't have such a big nose so I could bring it even closer. Maybe I just smash my nose a little bit. If your nose isn't scrunched a little bit, you're not holding your vision close enough. See, without vision, people perish. That's not new. It's been around thousands of years. But we forget the simple fundamentals, and then we try and go and find the secret. I got news for you. I'm not going to share any secrets with you today. I'm going to share with you foundational principles that people that I look up to, foundational books that I read, have been sharing for years, because here's the thing. Everybody nowadays wants the simple, sexy way to go get their dreams. And I'll tell you, anybody that says it's simple, easy, or sexy is lying to you and trying to sell you something, because it's not going to be easy, but I can promise you it's going to be worth it. See, anything worth doing is worth doing well, and it's going to require some grit. It's going to require some work. However, when you get there, you'll be proud not of getting there, but who you became in the process. Because when we're faced with challenges, when we're required to work hard, when we're required to figure things out, or be in a struggle, or be frustrated that it's not going at the speed we want it to go at, we discover who we are. We discover what we're about. We discover what we're made of. We get clearer on our vision. And we become proud of who we've become, not what we've achieved. And see, everyone out there, I'll tell you one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I'll get going on the story and I'll come back to one of the biggest mistakes of my life as I hit it in my story there. And Rebecca, feel free to interrupt me at any time if you want me to stop, or if there's any points you want to make.
I mean, honestly, there's so many just nuggets there. I had chills at one point where you were saying a couple of things, the burning desire. That's one thing that I was taught 7 years ago, is finding that burning desire. And if you don't have it yet, it's just about looking about what fuels you up, like what gets you excited. And I say that life is fun, simple, and magical, right? You want to make it fun, which is what you said. It is simple to be successful because there's so many tools to help you. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you just follow a very, easy structure, it can be simple, but we overcomplicate it because we think we're not ready. We have to think they have this perfectly created thing. It has to all be amazing. Keep it simple and then let it be magical. Let it be magical by helping people and getting fired up. I love it. You also said, there's no juice in job. There is no juice in job. Like, it doesn't get excited, because I remember when, I've had conversations with partners or whatever, and they've said, you work all the time. I'm like, this isn't work. What I do, I love it. I love it. Oh, I would do this all day long. Like, this is what fires me up. It's not a job. It's not work. I don't even call it a career. I mean, yes, it is a career, but I love it. I would do it even if I wasn't getting paid for it. So I think finding that thing inside of you that makes you fired up and that burning desire to succeed comes with that grit. So I love everything, all the points that you're on. Take us back to your story, and yeah, just keep freaking crushing it. I'm getting goosebumps every single time that you say a little Jim Rohn quote, and his voice. I'm just like, people are going to be freaking out right now.
And here's the thing. I love what you said there is, that along the way, it's got to be simple, fun, and magical. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And see, it's a good question for people to ask. They go, but how do we know what we love doing? See, I don't believe you have to love everything you're doing. I think whoever said, find what you love, go do it, everything will be great. I think that's a little bit of a fib, if we would, because I think we need to find what we can love in everything we do. I'm very blessed now to be able to coach business owners, athletes, and entrepreneurs all over the world. I mean, I've had clients in 29 countries. I have people from 17 countries in my monthly coaching group. I look at that and I go, how did the little kid from Howard Lake, Minnesota, even get one person from their hometown, let alone their United States or all over the world, to want to hear what I have to say? But I got news for you. If you're on this podcast, write this down right now. Write it down with owning it. I've got greatness inside of me. And so you need to believe in that. I've got greatness inside of me, because I love what you said is so, people, you don't, yes, it is a job. It is a career, but it's not the way you look at it. It's your passion. If you listen to her energy, watch the smile on her face, she starts talking about it. She starts glowing, right? It's like staring at a North Star, because the energy, because of the passion, because it's a mission of helping others. She's making it bigger than herself. At this point, you don't have to work if you don't want to, right? But it's when you don't have to, you find better meaning in your work, and you do even more. And see, the thing is realize that whatever it is you want to go after, you got to be willing to be okay at sucking at it in the beginning. See, most people just don't want to take the risk. They go, oh, but I love this security. I've got this little job that I bitch about all the time over here, right? That I complain about all the time over here. Anybody know somebody that complains or says how terrible their job is? Well, in most places in the world, you have the freedom to quit it. Well, I couldn't do that. Why not? See, I would say, ask yourself, if you don't enjoy what you do right now, number one question, what could you change to enjoy it? Could you reframe what you do? Could you find what you love and what you currently do to give you more energy to go after what you really want in life? See, because complaining or making wrong of what you're doing won't help you get better at it. See, I loved washing dishes. I made it competitive and fun. As Rebecca said, simple, fun, and magical. A mentor of mine, LT, always said that. Simple, fun, and magical. He spent a lot of time with Jim Rohn. And it's like, if we can make everything, find how we can make it simple. Ask yourself that. How can I make it simple, fun, and magical? Whatever I'm doing. And if you can learn to do that, you gain momentum. Now you can shift from what you are doing to what you want to do, because you've learned that it's not what you're doing, it's how are you doing it? Are you doing it like it's work and it's hard and it's heavy? Or are you doing it because it's simple, fun, and magical? You know what? It wasn't easy in the beginning, but I just looked at it a different way and became simple, fun, and magical. And I knew I didn't want to do it forever, but I figured while I'm doing it, I might as well make it simple, fun, and magical. And then before long, I turned this little side hustle into a full-time thing, or this opportunity was introduced to me, or whatever it is. You'll find more things open up when you open up, when you start discovering and growing and developing and stepping into your true self, not trying to be like somebody else, because we get paid to stand out. You do not get paid to blend in. You get paid to stand out, but we're in a culture around the world where everybody's wanting to be somebody else. They're wanting to impersonate or copy somebody else. Just be you. Just be you in your greatness every day. And so picking up on my story, where I was at 19 is I was painting for a painting company. And I was like, saw one of the bills and I'm like, you pay me what? You charge what for me? I'm like, why don't I do this? And that's where I started my first really strong business. I had some other businesses, trading baseball cards and doing lemonade stands and mowing lawns and stuff. But my first organized one, where I went out and bought a truck and took out a loan and bought some ladders, created my own painting company while I was in college when I was 19 years old. And a little kid from a town of 300, I remember when I was 19, I made $18,000 in 2.5 months. And I went back to college. I was on full scholarship for wrestling. I went back with $18,000 in my pocket. If we wanted to do something as a team, we did it. We want to go whitewater rafting, I just went and bought a whitewater raft, right? If we wanted to go do something, we went and did it. Now, I wish I would have invested more of that money and knew what I knew now about finances. But at that time, I had a lot of fun with it because it wasn't just about me. I always like to engage other people, have fun with other people. And I did really well with that painting company. You know how I did it? Worked hard, some grit. I cared about people and I loved everybody. And the thing is I just started painting a house. People would stop and ask, could you come bid my house? Yep. Could you come bid my house? Yep. 3 weeks into the summer, I'm booked for the whole summer, 19, not even really knowing what I'm doing. But I remember where it changed for me, where I really got time leverage. You see, I remembered why I was open to that as I saw one of the bills when I worked for Pettit Painting of what they were charging. And I knew how much I was costing them. I knew how much the supplies cost. I'm like, I want that margin. And excuse me. And so what I did was I hired a friend, Brent, and then I hired my own brother, right? My brother was home for the summer. I said, do you want to come paint? And I'll never forget. I remember it was a lady named Joan. We were painting their house. I got those two started painting. And I'm not a very good golfer, but I covered up my golf clubs in drop cloths in the back of the truck, put a duffel bag back there with some golf clothes. And I go, what if I could get them started in the morning? I could go golfing. I'm making money while I'm golfing. And then I can put my clothes back on, say, yep, how you guys doing here? And I'll go out and get a couple jobs as well, additional jobs, come back. And I'm like, I got paid to go golfing today. I'm like, why would I ever trade my time for money? I'll trade somebody else's time for money, right? I could get leverage. And that's where I really got entrepreneurial and said, I'm never going to have another job again. I don't make a good employee. I want to get creative. I want to go after what I want. And so when I went to school, originally I went to be a teacher because I had so many incredible teachers that changed my life and impacted me in such a positive way that I wanted to be a teacher. But then I got in the system. I started doing some of my student teaching and realized teachers, I even have more respect for them because the politics and what they're able to do, not able to do, that was too much control for me to give up. I wanted to be able to do what was right, not what was, programmed, right? And so I started working in a health club and America's Fitness. And that's where I started getting repetition on speaking. I believe I told you this story, Rebecca, I was, it was America's Fitness. And I was hired to do these initials. And people go, oh, they're just terrible. I go, what do you do? Take them through those 8 machines, explain how to use them. And it was 2 years prior, at 17 years old, I found Tony Robbins' personal power cassette tapes at a garage sale. And I started listening to them. And I haven't stopped listening since, right? It's like the first time you hear Jim Rohn, what do? Keep listening daily. And so I listened to those and that all came back because I kept listening every day as I did these initials. I didn't explain the 8 machines. What I did was I told people, hey, these 8 machines aren't going to change your life. You will. And I called what I called Tony Robbins and the shit out of him, if I'm allowed to say that. I hope I am because I just did. And, and what I meant was I listened to the audios. I'd started applying it in my life. And then I started sharing it with others. And I'm like, well, what's holding you back from exercise? How much better would your life be if you took care of your health, if you had more energy, if you had this? And I'd take them through why they needed to do this. And they would get done with it. And man, they couldn't get people to come to these initials. All of a sudden, Luke's packed. Nobody else is showing up for any of the others because I made it about the person, not the thing. See, make things about the person, not the product, not the service. Make it about the people and speak to them, be present with them. And that's where I got the repetition, speaking and coaching with so many people over and over and over. That's where it really started. And some people go, well, that'd be so boring. No, it wasn't. If you make it about the people, it never gets boring because people are interested. And so then I switched my major to sport and exercise management and went down the route of since as young as I can remember, I think 13, 14 years old, I started telling people I'm gonna have my own health club someday. And they started looking at me going, good luck with that. Where are you going to get the money from? Right. And sure enough, I found a bank dumb enough to give me some money when I was 26 years old. I started working in health clubs when I come out of college. And I started working at a health club and hired as a PT manager. I remembered, oh, wow, graduated from college. Now I can make $13,000 a year guaranteed. I'm going, seriously? But it wasn't before long that I was changing lives. 2 months in, they go, would you want to be the PT manager? 4 months in, would you want to do sales? 8 months in, would you want to be the sales manager? 11 months in, would you like to be the assistant manager? And then I remember the only job that I ever got that I applied for is I still had a semester left of college. They brought in me and one other person from an outside chain of health clubs for the general manager position. Well, I was finishing up my last semester of college and I was wrestling at the Division II level. And they said, there's no way you can run this club, this multi-million-dollar club, and go to school and wrestle. Like, there's no possible way. Explain to us how you can do that. I'm going to work harder than the other guy. And I understand people and I understand time leverage. And so I'm 20 years old. They hired the other guy. I said, you'll regret this. I'll eventually have his job. 2 months later, he got fired for doing stupid stuff. I said, I told you I'd have his job. And at 20 years old, I'm running a multi-million-dollar business, finishing up my last semester of college. But all of that happened because all along I'd always been doing the work. See, helping people in health clubs and getting healthy wasn't new to me. I started that when I was 7. See, sometimes I ran into so many people that go, oh, you got to have a degree, you got to have a certification. No, you don't. You need to care more than everybody else. You need to be passionate about what it is you're doing. PECC, write that one down. You need to be passionate, excited, certain, and consistent. And if you apply PEC to anything, you'll be great at it if you just keep going. If you just keep going. See, it's often people don't get to their dreams not because they didn't want them, but they didn't want them bad enough. Because if you want it bad enough, you ain't going to quit. You want it bad enough, you ain't going to give up. Sometimes it happens in 12 months. Sometimes it happens in 36. Sometimes it happens in 11 years. You go, but Luke, how do I know? Why is that? Jim Rohn, I wouldn't sign up for that class. That's just the way it is. Everybody's journey is different. My journey is different than Rebecca's. Rebecca's is different than yours. Embrace the journey because there's more journey than destination. Whatever it is you think you're after, you'll get there and you go, that's it. And you go, can I get back to the journey? And see where most people struggle is when they hit a big accomplishment and they hit that and they celebrate and they don't set something else that continues them on their journey, they struggle with happiness. And so what I've learned over time and stupid mistakes is that we're going to have 99% of our lives is going to be the journey, the struggle, the challenges. And if we don't think that way, we make our lives wrong. We think it's being harder than it is. What I've learned is in mine is the journey and the struggle and the challenges or the frustration that I didn't think I should have. Those were the greatest gifts. Those are what forced me to grow into a greater version of myself, truly step into my greatness, not just live on the surface or the edge of it, to truly dig down and discover a deeper, better version of myself. And so as we do that and we embrace that, now we can enjoy all of our lives, not thinking that we have to go do something, achieve something, or become something. We're already enough because you got greatness inside of you. Yes, that's right. Say it. I got greatness inside of me, baby. You got to say it. You got to believe it. And how do you believe it? You say it over and over and over. And our beliefs come from what we listen to, what we say. You got to say it. Most important language in the world, your own self-language. And so I was very blessed to get into those health clubs and do well. And then by the age of 26, at the age of 26, I finally had the opportunity to buy my own health club. You know what? But along the way between, you go, Luke, 20, 26, along the way, I'd met a woman a little bit older than me. She had kids. And I moved to a new area. I couldn't make what I was making here. I had the world. I had my dream job at 20 years old, making more money than I ever thought I'd make in a year. Working for incredible owners that did an incredible culture. And I met a woman and I didn't want her kids to move, so I moved. And I went from my dream job to selling cars. You think you had to pivot in the wrong direction? That would be the time. But you know what I did? I cared about people. I led with love and I put in the work. And here it was the greatest gift. And imagine the jokes of my family and friends. I remember my parents met the gal. Didn't your parents warn you about a used car salesman? They're going, have you lost your mind? But in that area, the health clubs couldn't afford to pay what I was making in the other one. And I'm like, you know what? I know how to sell. I know how to take care of people. Cars are pretty simple. Four wheels and a seat and a steering wheel. I can figure that out. I was raised around a family that raised stock cars, so I know this stuff. You know what? I popped out of my chair. I worked harder than everybody else. And I was the first person in the history of the company of 37 years to be promoted from used to new. How did I do it? Cared about people, led with love, and worked hard. I had a burning desire that if I was going to sell cars, I was going to be the best at it. So I had a burning desire, a willingness to work, and I was coachable. I spent time. Who you spend time with is who you become. I hung out with the top 2 salesmen in the dealership religiously. I remember Daryl, little old Daryl. He walked like this. Daryl, tell me about this. Daryl, tell me about that. Daryl, how'd you do this? Daryl, how do you do that? And I got a PhD in sales because let me tell you, if you can sell a car, you can sell anything. because people come in looking at you like oh, no. And I kept it simple, fun, and magical. The guys that were there hated me because it was first come, first serve, and I was the best in shape. So I'd run out to the people. They go, no, I'm just looking. I don't want to buy anything. I go, good, I'm just selling. What do you want to drive? No, I'm not buying it. No, you don't have to buy it. Let's just go drive it. Let's have some fun. What do you want to try? Well, I'm not going to buy this. Okay, well, let's just drive it. I made it simple, fun, and magical, and a lot of times they ended up buying because we were having fun. And then they got in a new car. They're like, I don't want to go back to my old car. Puppy dog clothes, right? Here, just hold the puppy. I'll be back tomorrow. Well, I can't give up the puppy. I love the puppy. The puppy snuggled me. But I made it simple, fun, and magical. Let me ask everybody right now where we're at in the story. Are you making what you're doing in your life simple, fun, and magical? Are you living your best life every single day? Are you being grateful for everything you do have instead of worrying about what you don't have? Are you being grateful for everything you've accomplished, achieved, and done, or are you chasing mindlessly after what you haven't done? See, these are questions that change our lives because they give us power instead of take the power. See, if we just keep chasing, if we're not making it simple, fun, and magical, if we're not having fun, we're doing it wrong, and it becomes work. It becomes heavy. It weighs us down and takes us away from our true center, our greatness and love inside of us. But guess what? A couple of years after selling cars, I was working out. I was actually training for a bodybuilding show at the time. Try and do that. Try and diet and be around car sales. They don't eat the healthiest, if you know what I mean. And they put out the meat and cheese trays, I remember, during Christmas. And so I was working out, but then all of a sudden, somebody walked into the gym one day, and because I was passionate, excited, certain, and consistent about helping people in their health, talking about health, living health, that they said, hey, I know you ran clubs over by the Twin Cities. You did really well. There's a club here struggling in town, and he's looking for somebody to run his gym. I think you should talk to him. I went over there, I had a meeting, and I said, here's the way it needs to be. I need total control because I know what I'm doing. And he was CFO of one of the largest banks in the area. You can imagine he didn't want to give up control. I said, well, it won't work for me. He goes, well, why would I believe in you? I said, who else do you got? Who else do you got that has ran a multi-million-dollar budget for a club, especially at age 20? And I'm 5 years wiser now. And he goes, okay, we worked it out. Took the club from red to black. They were 80 grand upside down, took them to black and making money. That means making money. You never want red in business. You always want black. And making money in 6 months, 8 months in, I said, I'll buy the clubs. He goes, well, I'm not going to sell them. I said, if you don't sell them, I'm leaving. Because I had a goal. I wanted to buy the clubs. I'm approaching 30. I'm at 26 years old. I'm going, I only got 4 years left. I got to go for this. I got leverage. Because I was the only person in the last 3 people they hired to be able to flip it around quickly without spending money, I had leverage. And I put in the work. I'd already shown the results. I didn't ask for it for nothing. Said I'd pay you for it. Work out a deal. What matters to you? And here's what I found. It's one of my great mentors, Keith Cunningham, says, find out what they want, go and get it, give it to them. See, a lot of us overthink, like, what do our customers want? Like, we don't know. What do people really want? Here's a key question. Find out by asking them. Go and get it and give it to them. It works every time. So I said, John, what's really important to you? What do you really want? He said, well, I want a car out of this deal at least. He goes, I didn't invest and own this and lose money to not at least get a tax-efficient car out of the deal. Okay, great. We'll make sure you make enough on the sale, you get a car. What else do you want? Well, I really love training with Tim. Great. How long do you want to train with Tim for? 10 years. Nope. I said, how about 5? And then I'll give you a discounted rate to train with him for the next 5. Yep. What else do you need? That's pretty much it. All right, great. Let's shake hands. Done. And then I relentlessly, here's the thing, 26 years old, coming from a place of no money. It's not easy to find a bank to believe in you. So I put together a slideshow of everything I knew because I knew money could burn up, but knowledge couldn't, right? If you have the tools and skills, Jim Rohn always used that analogy. You could have a briefcase of $1 million, or you could have a skills to make $1 million in the other briefcase. What briefcase do you want? The one with the tools and skills, because I can make $1 million over and over and over and over again. This one, I spend it, it's gone. This one, I use it and I grow. And once you get the toolbox, it's easier to keep adding more tools. So when I went to the banks, I went to them with a plan, and I remember I was on my 8th bank, and I met some really arrogant people, but I just kept going in with passion, excitement, certainty, consistently, over and over and over again. I got 16 pages into the PowerPoint. They go, close the laptop, we'll give you the money. We got to do this, this, and this. Here's how we got to structure it, blah, 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 blah. They go, I'm not betting on the club, but I'll bet on you. See, what we all need to remember, we are the product. Let me ask you all a question right now. Ask yourself, how am I showing up? How am I currently showing up? And how do I need to show up? 0 to 10, how am I showing up? If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. If you don't manage it, it is not going to get better. You got to know the score to win the game, but most people are afraid to ask themselves 0 to 10, how am I showing up? It might not be what you're saying. It might be how you're saying it. It might not be your product or service. It might be you're showing up at a level 7, and they believe in the product. They believe in the opportunity. They believe in whatever it is you're trying to share with them, but they don't believe in you because you're living less than you could. You're living an average when you could be living in greatness. See, and it requires nothing else than a burning desire, willingness to work, a coachability, passion, excitement, certainty, consistently to show up as a 10. It's an attitude you develop. It's an energy and effort you develop by having the grit to do what is needed to be done daily, finding a way to make it simple, fun, and magical. So I got my first club. I took those clubs to negative 80,000 to 250,000 a year. Then over the next 7 years, I built them to clubs that were $3.5 million. I then went through a divorce. She wanted the clubs. Guess why? They were my baby. They were my baby. In the divorce, guess what I gave her? The clubs I built. A team of 85 people, 3 different clubs that gave her residual income of middle to high 6 figures every year. Because I was sick of being in court for 18 months. And she wanted what mattered to me because she thought it would hurt me. Because she had done things that I loved her, but I didn't respect her anymore. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes too. But the thing was, she wanted the clubs. But here's the lesson in this. Here's why I share this with you. Letting go to what I thought was my ultimate dream in life was the greatest thing I ever did. Because I wouldn't have found what I found without it. See, we never want to clinch or hang on to something thinking that that's us more than us just being us. And I want everybody to know out there, you probably had a relationship, might have had a breakup. I was the coach. I was the why guy. I was the happy guy. I was the guy speaking all over as I had these clubs and businesses. And all of a sudden I found myself struggling. I went through the divorce. I gave up the majority of the assets, walked away with less than I made in a year. But what hurt most is she used my volunteer travel with Tony Robbins against me to get full custody of my daughter. I was not expecting that after I gave her everything. And the last thing they said, I'll never forget it in court, they said, well, he's an unfit father. He volunteers with Tony Robbins 120 days a year. He's not around enough. I said, Judge, it's volunteer. Key word, volunteer. It's done. She's more important than that. Like, I can do it when it works. I don't have to do it all the time. He goes, we can't base it on the past. And I found myself in my late 20s sitting on my balcony 6 months later in my boxers, plenty of money in the bank, bawling my eyes out at noon because I just rolled out of bed at 11:30. I was the energy, the coach, the happy-go-lucky, driven person from age 7 till my late 20s. And here I'm crying on my birthday on my balcony, wondering what the point of life was. And I'll never forget it. A good friend of mine, Jeff Roberti, called me up. And he goes, Luke, how are you doing? Happy birthday. He goes, I just had a weird feeling you could use a call today. And I'm just going, do I be honest with him? Like, Jeff, do you want me to be honest? He goes, absolutely. He goes, always. I said, I'm miserable, brother. Like, I'm sitting out here in my boxers thinking thoughts I never thought I would think, bawling my eyes out on my birthday because I rolled out of bed at 11:30. I never slept in. But here's what happened. Here's why I'm so passionate about the fundamentals. Is as I went through that divorce or transition, and why I think this is more relevant than ever, why I'd really pay attention to this and re-listen to this part, is right now, this year, and in the 3 to 5 years to come, I believe more people in the world, due to the technological advances, due to what's going on with COVID, due to where the world's at right now, will be facing major transitions, whether it be in their career, their relationships, or some other area of life that can take you off the rails. And what happened is in that transition, as I already told you, the foundational 4 I believe in so much, I set them down as I was going through my divorce. I quit doing those simple fundamentals daily, reminding myself every day when I got up. Every day when I got up before, I would breathe with my eyes closed, think of everything I was grateful for, and I'd rebound and I'd say, who am I? What I'm about? What my vision is? Why it's important to me? And I kept it right here. But that vision that I kept here was now gone. I didn't have my business, changing lives every day. I didn't have my daughter, which mattered more to me than anything in life. And I went from a town that everybody knew my name. I was on every board. I was vice president of the Rotary. I was president of the Rotary, vice president of the Boys and Girls Club, on 5 different boards at the chamber. Everybody knew me wherever I went. To move into a town where nobody knew my name. And I said, did I matter? Started asking myself stupid questions. Was I just lucky, or did I really have what it takes? See, I sat down, reminded myself every day for just a couple years. Who are you? What are you about? What's your vision? Why is that important to you? It's okay if the vision changes. That's why we do it every day, because the vision can change in transition. But I remember Jeff just says, Luke, this isn't you. Get back to being you. You know who you are. You know what you're about. Redo it. And that day, that time, that transition taught me more, helped me discover more about me, helped me develop more of me, helped me step into another level of greatness, because now I knew what it was like to have a major transition, have a major struggle. And I vowed on that day, I remember writing it down in my journal, I will never set down the fundamentals again in my life. Because people ask now, they go, Luke, well, how do you have the resolve? How do you have that certainty? How do you have that energy? I built it, I set it down, and I rebuilt it. See, sometimes things don't work out. We go, oh, don't rebuild it, redo it, get back to the fundamentals. And I got strong on that day. And I just sat down, and I'm love, I'm passionate, I'm blessed, I'm relentless, I'm playful. At that time, my 5th one, I said, I am a gladiator. Recently, I changed it to playful because I want to remember to have a lot of fun. So I keep things simple, fun, and magical, right? But those were my foundational 5, where as many I ams I have, but those are the 5s I reinforce every day. What are you about? I'm about impact. I'm about results. I'm about change. I'm about helping people get from where they are to where they want to go, and not just get there, but enjoy the ride along the way, to create meaning and purpose in their life, to feel alive, not just get them rich, but get them fulfilled, the part that money can't buy. What's my vision? To leverage technology and be able to travel and show my children that anything's possible, helping other people realize their dreams on a daily basis through technology and stages. Why is that important to me? Because there's a level of fulfillment helping somebody else get to where they want to go and keep their eye on the ball of what's truly important to them, keep their priorities in check, enjoy the journey. There's a level of fulfillment that no amount of money can ever buy. And why I do it is because I believe I was built for it. I believe my Creator put me here for it. That's why I do it. And on that day, I started saying that, and I did it over and over and over again. And it developed over time. But some people listening to this right now, you may feel a little bit lost. You may feel a little bit distracted. There's nothing Rebecca and I can do for you more than you sitting down and you make the decision today to decide, who are you? Who do you want to be? What are you going to put behind I am? What are you going to decide to be about? What is going to be your vision that you're going to keep your nose scrunched every day with because you keep it so close? And why? Most importantly, the reasons always come first. Why is it so important to you? See, along that way, just before I got divorced, I was speaking at a chamber event, 250 people. And if you can tell, I get a little excited. I have a little bit of passion, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of certainty. Certainty is built through repetition and be willing to keep going. And I've done that consistently. And was staying after, 50 people were asking questions. And one person asked, have you ever heard of Tony Robbins? I said, of course I've heard of Tony. I've been listening to him since I was 17, along with Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley, Les Brown, name them, Joel Osteen, you keep going, I got him. And because once I discovered self-development at 17, I never set that down. I wanted to grow and learn and discover. And they go, have you ever gone to an event? I said, what kind of dumbass would spend thousands of dollars to go to the event? I said, just read the book, do the work, and repeat. Listen to the audio, do the work, and repeat. But then God has a funny sense of humor. The next day, the very next day, I'm playing in the yard with my daughter. The mailman comes up, never out there when he comes, but I was this time. He brings a huge postcard. It has a gigantic head on it, the size of Texas, big white teeth. And it said, Unleash the Power Within, Tony Robbins. I looked up at the sky and I'm like, all right, God, I get it. I said, Faith, I'll be right back. Walked in the house, called them up, said, sign me up. They go, sign you up for what? And who is this? I thought God directly sent it to me. And I said, well, UPW, and my name is Luke Wren. Okay, great. They got me signed up. 2 weeks later, I went to my first Tony event after for a decade saying, what kind of dumbass would spend thousands of dollars? I got in the door, 1 minute in, I got in the door, felt the energy, and my story changed. And everybody out there today, as I share my story, you have a story to this point. You have the ability to change it at any time. I was like, what kind of dumbass would go to spend thousands of dollars to be at the event? My story changed to, what kind of dumbass waits a decade to go listen to his mentor he's been listening to for over a decade? I remember I ran to the front, sat 7th row right behind his platinum partners. He said, write down 3 people you want to meet or spend time with and think big. I said, well, I might as well think big. Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, and Steve Wynn. And the guy sitting next to me, Travis, said, shoot for the moon, Alice. I said, he said to think big. Travis wrote down 3 people he thought he'd meet, still hasn't met 2 of them. Within 11 months, I'd met Tony Robbins, Steve Wynn, and Oprah Winfrey. Because thoughts become things. You got to put the intention out there and match it with action. The action is important. But then at the end of the event, Tony said, this event's put on by 400 volunteers all around the room. If you'd like to be one of those volunteers, we'd love to have you apply. I wrote a 7-page letter how my life was so much better since hearing Tony at 17 years old and listening to him every day. I got accepted into crew. 3 months later, I'm at the next event. And I'm playing full out. I paid attention while he's up there. Success leaves clues. Write that down. Follow success. Success leaves clues. Follow unsuccess. Unsuccess leaves clues. Don't do what unsuccessful people do and do what successful people do. Trust me, you'll figure things out much quicker than trying to learn everything on your own. So when I was at the event, I was asking everybody, like, what are those drinks he's drinking? What's that stuff he's eating? What is this? What's this? When does he pee? Right? And so I come to the event, I play full out. They give me a break. I go back up to the room. What else can I do? They give me a break. I don't want a break. I came here to play full out. I get nominated for crew member of the event out of 400 people. They didn't know. I'm like, who's this new guy? Some of them have been there 30 years at that point and 3 decades. And they never had a rookie nominated for crew member of the event. So then I met my dear friend, Lauren, that's like a sister to me today. And she goes, oh my gosh, your energy, like you need to do security. I said, me do security? Number 1, shut up. Number 2, not smile. Are you kidding me? And she goes, no, your energy, like it needs to be around Tony. You don't care to be around Tony. That's even better yet. And I said, okay. So I had a bunch of interviews with Jay Garrity and Mike Melio as chief of staff, head of security, and one of his good friends. And I came to the next event. He goes, well, why don't we try out, do 2 events. If we like you, you like it, we'll continue. And so I show up and I had even more dialed in what Tony was drinking, what he was eating, how he was doing it. So I show up, I set my 6 bottles under the steps, my chopped up bars, and I'm out on following Tony around the floor. And they go, Luke, do you need a break? 2 hours in, 4 hours in, 6 hours in, 8 hours in. Finally they go, Jay comes, taps me on the shoulder, go take an hour break. I go, I don't need a break. I didn't come here to take breaks. He goes, I've watched you drink all those fluids. When are you going to pee? I go, I'll pee when he pees. Success leaves clues. And he goes, well, that's good. But if something goes wrong, we can't have you run into the bathroom. Like, go take an hour break. So I go run to the bathroom, drink some fluids on the way there, chew some bars on the way back, come back. I go, Jay, I'm back. He goes, I said to take an hour. I don't need an hour. I didn't come here to take breaks. So we get to the end of the event. Jay goes, okay, we figured out you're crazy. We don't need a second event. Would you mind doing EPU? I said, what's EPU? He goes, Executive Protection Unit. So you'd be with Tony and Sage from sun up to sundown, helping them get from here to there, keeping them safe, driving them, this type of thing. And he goes, don't worry, we'll train you. You got the right heart. And I said, well, absolutely. And I did that for 7 years. And here's what I want to share with everybody. During that 7 years, everybody told me how stupid I was, how crazy I was, how much I was being taken advantage of. I said, are you kidding me? They said, Luke, do you know what your time's worth? You have businesses. You can charge thousands of dollars and you're volunteering your time 120 days a year. About 7 years in, Sage calls me up. I'm down here with my wife checking out Siesta Key to live here down in Florida. Calls me up on the phone and says, Luke, do you speak? And I said, yeah. She goes, how come you never told us? I said, you never asked. I said, I watched everybody else bother you guys. My job was to not bother you. So I spoke when you spoke to me. When we talked, but we talked whatever you wanted to talk about. She goes, Luke, we've been looking for a speaker to give Tony a break or to run some of the events that he can't physically run. I said, well, okay. And she goes, well, do you have a video of you speaking? I said, yeah, I just spoke to like 1,600 people in Australia. I can send you that. Send him a video. She called me back up the next day. She goes, Luke, we never knew. Tony sat there watching. He goes, we've been looking for somebody for 5 years. I read people for a living, and the guy we're looking for is right beside me. And she goes, Luke, would you do a working interview? And I said, sure. I said, if it doesn't work out, I'll just keep doing security. She goes, oh, you're so funny. And I said, Sage, I'm serious. Sage is his wife. And that year, he had 1,700 people in the main room at Date with Destiny, and they said, we need you to manage the room beside him of 800 people. And there's only one rule in public speaking. If you want to be a great public speaker, speak after somebody that's shitty, and you'll sound good. The one thing you don't want is be able to do the room next to Tony Robbins, right? So I'm there, and we do the event, and they give me very brief training before, and I just be me. And it worked out. And they said, they called me up a week later. I go, how did it go? What did they think? They're like, oh, it went great. I said, well, tell me what I can do better. They go, no, Luke, they were so happy. The room stayed packed. Their reviews were great. Like, it was awesome. Would you be trained across the board to be able to do every event Tony does? And I was like, well, let me check with my wife, because that's a big commitment. And I said, I talked to her and I said, absolutely. And, for the last, it's been over 10 years now. I've been going to over 15, roughly somewhere between 12 to 18 events a year. And now I run his Life and Wealth Mastery program 6 times a year in Fiji and in the US and in Europe, and do small pieces at other events. And I'm just blessed and honored to be in proximity of such incredible people. But here's the funny part. The same people that told me I was crazy for volunteering, for serving, I looked at it as service, because I don't use the word give, because when we give, we think of getting in return, or give and shall receive. And I think a word we need to bring back into society is, what are you serving? How can we be of service? Meaning give up our time without expecting anything in return. And I was fine if I was still doing security volunteer, because along the way, I got $1 billion education. They go, what did you ask Tony? Nothing. I didn't have to. I watched how he interacted, how he spoke to people, how he ran meetings, how he carried himself, how he took care of himself, how he treated people. He's the most congruent human being on the planet Earth that I know. It's one thing I can tell you about him. He eats his own lunch, right? Like, he truly is congruent. And the thing is you're probably having people in your life right now that tell you you're crazy, that you're not going to make it, that you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that. But you got to stand clear on your foundational 4 of knowing who you are, what you're about, what your vision is, why it's important to you. Stay true to you. Be great at being you. Continue to discover, develop, and step into your greatness so you can live there. You don't have to just tiptoe in. Eventually, you keep doing the work and you're living in your greatness, doing what you love because you are willing to do the work. And when it felt like work, you made it simple, fun, and magical. And one day the opportunity will come. And then you need to be open to it and capitalize on and step into it. But here's the thing. Most people judged me during those 7 years. And they go, he's just a security guard. But they didn't realize every night I was debriefing what I learned on audio, writing notes, journaling every day, what I took, what I was learning from one of the most influential people on the planet and everybody around them. I was preparing. So when they asked me to speak, I was ready. Oftentimes people don't want to prepare till they get the opportunity. It's too late. Do the work now. Go after what you want now. All along the way, I wasn't waiting going, oh gosh, I never had a goal to speak for Tony Robbins. I was building, running, and leading my own businesses. The opportunity came because I was being me. I was doing the right thing for the right reason. I was caring about others, and I was leading with love. And everything I did aligned with me, and it had meaning. It mattered to me. It didn't matter if people told me I was crazy. I knew that I loved what I was doing. I felt good about what I was doing. I'll tell you, if you can find something to serve that you feel good about, be one of the greatest feelings you get in the world. I was blessed and honored to be able to serve him and his incredible mission and his team and his company, and continue to on an ongoing basis. I'll always serve that mission because of what it did for me. I never forgot that. So, today you might think, gosh, Luke, you don't understand. I'm in transition. I've been there. You might be struggling a little bit more than you have in the past. You might find that you've been in a funk a little bit more than you have in the past. You might think, but I don't have what it takes. You got to change that thinking. You got to start and decide today to begin the discovery of diving more into you, to discovering more about you, to understanding you, to developing you, doing the work of who are you? What are you about? What is your vision? Why is it important to you? And decide to go after what you want, whether it's on the side of what you're currently doing, and enjoy what you're currently doing more so that when you get done with that at the end of the day, you have the energy for that side hustle. But if you go and complain and make this wrong, get to the end of the day, now you don't want to do that little extra thing that's going to build your fortune because you're tired, you're worn out, you're frustrated. Because why? Because you decided to make a decision up here to make it hard, not simple, fun, and magical. Because you didn't wake up and do the work of who am I? What am I about? What's my vision? Why is that important to me? And so I'm blessed today to be able to have my own coaching business, be partnered in a couple other businesses, be able to serve one of my greatest mentors in Tony and speak for him as well, but also have my clients all over the world as well. But it didn't come overnight. There's nothing special about me. This is the little kid of a town of 300 with train tracks in the backyard and a dirt floor in the basement. Trust me, wherever you're at right now, you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you need to be. All too often lately, I've found people, and I've done it in my past before, I made where I was at wrong. I think I should be fitter. I think I should be richer. I think I should be more of this, more of that. I should have been here by now, there by now. I should be doing this by now. But if we make where we're at wrong, it keeps the clarity off target, and we can't take the first step towards where we want to go. See, you need to celebrate that, wherever you're at in life, you didn't end up there by accident. There's something much greater that has a much bigger plan than you think. That, we're not in control. We're here on this planet for a very short time. So begin to discover, develop, and step into your greatness. Believe in you. Bet on you. Double down on you. And go after whatever it is you want in life. Because if I can do it, so can you. If Rebecca can do it, so can you. And you know what? I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. We don't have to have all the answers. But when you wake up in the morning, just say, you know what? I'm going to do my best again today. Let's get ready. I'm going to step into my greatness and go. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what was great about the day? I call this mirror coaching. What was great about today? What's one thing I could have done differently that would have made it even better? coach yourself, but multiple great things to one thing you could have done better. 0 to 10, how was my day? Because you got to be able to measure, to manage. You got to be able to manage, to improve, because you can't win the game if you don't know the score. So on your own scale, 0 to 10, how was the day? Some days Luke goes up to that mirror and I have to look myself in the eyes and, well, today was a 6. But you know what? Forgive yourself. You're human. Not everybody can have a 10-day every single day. You got to have some tough ones in there so you appreciate the great ones. You got to have some good ones so you appreciate the extraordinary ones. But get your ass in bed. Go tuck yourself in. Go breathe. Get grateful. Go to bed. Get your rest, because tomorrow we're going to wake up and continue to bring our best. And guess what? We don't know when our last day is. So in closing, I want to ask you, today, are you proud? Did you live your best life today? What if today was your last day on this planet? Did you do things that had meaning to them? Did you spend time with the people that matter to you? See, every day I just ask myself, did I live my best life? And that doesn't mean, did I go on vacation because it might be my last day? No. Did I do something with meaning? Did I care? Did I love? Did I live? Did I lead? And did I spend time with the people that matter most to me in life? And see, if we just ask ourselves that every day, we start living better. We'll start living with more intention, more consciously. And before you know it, you'll have discovered, developed, and stepped into your greatness in living your great life, celebrating your great journey, and enjoying the journey along the way.
Boom, mic drop. Oh, yes. I'm so excited for people to listen to this. They are just going to be on the edge of the seats. And, there's one last question that I have for you. And, it's about an action step, because I know that people are going to want to know, well, how can I have more of Luke? I need more of Luke in my life. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, can I have a daily chat with you? This would be great. I'll just get my tea. We can do a Zoom. I'm going to feel amazing. I think one of the things on adding on your closing is exactly what you said. It's waking up and doing the best that you can, the very best that you can, just getting 1% better. Guys, you don't have to be perfect every day. You just have to have the desire, like that burning desire to get better, 1% better, learn something new, and then apply it. If you listen to Luke's story, right, he's constantly learning and then applying it. I know loads of people who read all of the personal development books, they've been to events, but nothing changes. Because Jim Rohn says, if we want to get better, we have to get better. If we want things to change, we have to change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So all you have to do is learn something new each day and apply it. Even if it's scary, if it's uncomfortable, if you're not sure about it, just do it anyway, because it's never as bad as it actually is. We create these fears in our head, like it's like a figment of our imagination. These fears, and then we do it and we go, oh my goodness, it actually wasn't that scary. So remember that the next time that you're stepping out of your comfort zone or you're trying something new, and that all the people who are there to support you are going to be the right people. Luke has friends that were saying, you're crazy for doing this. When I started my business, when I came to America and got my pilot's license, I had people going, you're crazy, you're bananas. Honestly, I didn't care what anybody else thought. I was like, the only thing that's important is how I feel in my heart, and that I know that I'm doing the right thing for me. And I'm going to make my own mistakes. I don't need other people to tell me, if they think I'm making a mistake. I want to own that myself. So I'm so excited for everybody to finish up that year with this incredible episode, and definitely something to come and listen back to, because this is something that we want to keep on repeating, right? It's not just something that happens once. Every single time that you listen to this episode, you're going to bring something new. You're going to find something new from it, because our brain listens to certain things at certain periods of our life. It's like, when you tell somebody, go read this book, and then 6 months later, they go, oh my goodness, I've just read this book that somebody else told me to read. You're like, I told you that, right? So it's important to keep on listening to this. Personal development is a constant growth. And talking of constant growth, I know that Luke, you support an incredible charity that I also support as well. And you have an amazing program for 2021 to teach people those fundamentals that we were talking about, because it is the roots. So how do they get started? And what is the plan?
Absolutely. The website is LW as in Luke Wren, lwresults.com/challenge. And we just finished up a greatness challenge where it's all about discovering, developing, and stepping in to your greatness. 5 straight days of 90 minutes a day. I bring in a special guest on day 3 as well. Like this last special guest I brought in gets paid $60,000 for 60 minutes of his time on stage. He spoke for 400 of the Fortune 1000 companies. And so they're incredible guests. But here's the best part. 100% of the proceeds go to support Operation Underground Railroad. Tim Ballard and his organization to end childhood slavery and sex trafficking, which is a horrific environment. It's a $150 billion industry, human trafficking, where 25% of the victims are children. And since 2013, he left his government job to create ex-CIA, Navy SEALs, federal agents to go in and put an end to this trafficking, to put a stop. And they have a commitment that they are going to get rid of it. And it's an important thing. And if we think we're having a bad day, there's people in much more dark places. So if you want to support this incredible charity, this 5-day program will be a 5-module course anywhere else for $1,000. It's just $47. For the cost of 1 meal out, you can invest and commit yourself to 5 days. If you enjoyed the last 60 minutes with Rebecca and I will tell you the 5 days will blow your mind. If they don't, you can email my assistant, Kaylee, and she will refund your money, right? And the money's not even going to me. It's going 100% of the $47 goes to Operation Underground Railroad. Those people that want to do a Q&A with me as a bonus on day 4, they can upgrade for just $50 and ask me any question you want. I'll stay on till all questions are answered. And here's a little bonus I'll throw in for Rebecca's tribe is this is going to happen in January again. But you guys just got fired up, and I want you to finish 2021 strong. So anybody that goes and enrolls before end of day Friday, before this Friday, when is this airing, Rebecca? To make sure that they have plenty of time?
Yeah, this is gonna be on the 19th. So will they have till the 26th?
Yeah, so let's give them, you'll have until the 26th, the day after Christmas, okay? If you go to lwresults.com/challenge, you enroll for $47, we'll give you the replay of the current challenge, the one we just did. So you'll have 5 days of the one we just finished, which was off the charts. You'll have that to get you going right now. So you can finish 2020 strong, and you'll also be enrolled in our next challenge in the end of January for the 5-day Step Into Your Greatness Challenge, where we're going to bring in 2 incredible speakers. You'll be mind blown. It'll be worth it just to be there for that 1 hour of the 2 speakers. But I promise you, you'll look at it and you'll go, this is the best $47 I've ever spent. And also, even better, knowing that it's going to support eradicating and getting rid of human trafficking, a horrific thing going on in the world. So if you want to do something for a purpose and do something to hold you accountable, to really step into the fundamentals of discovering, developing, stepping into your greatness in business, leadership, and life, I'd love to have you in the challenge with me. I know Rebecca's going to do the challenge. She'd love to do it with you. And thank you guys so much for your time today. Rebecca, I absolutely feel blessed and honored that you invited me on. I look forward to doing this again in the future and to keep pushing and challenging each other to continue to step into our greatness.
Absolutely. I was just thinking, like, we need to recap this in about 6 months' time to see like where we're at, because it's going to be a different 2021 that really we're not quite sure where we're at. So we will definitely have you back on the show if you're up for that, just to recap how we're doing in 2021. Guys, I'm going to be joining the challenge, so make sure that you do. I'm going to put all of the details in the description below, along with Luke's website and his Instagram. So please go give him a follow. If you've loved this episode, share it with somebody. Right? This is a difficult time over Christmas, holidays, with people feeling uncertain. Bring them into our community. Bring them into Luke and I's environment. You know, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around with. So it's okay. you know, Luke and I can be 2 of those 5, right? We're still the people that you're hanging around with if that's who you're listening to more. So we invite you guys to come and spend the holidays surrounded, you know, with us. We have positive, uplifting vibes on our social media that are here to help you and help you excel. So again, Luke, thank you so much for coming on this episode. I am so grateful. You added so much value, and I'm excited to, you know, keep our friendship going throughout 2021 and for the rest of their lives. I love it. Thank you again, Luke.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was my blessing and honor.
See you guys next week. Bye.